Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wander to the Edge, a live edition. My name is Adam Asher from the Edge of Adventure.
I'm Zanne from Where Gals Wander.
Yes, you are, Zanne, and I noticed you have some
Yes.
Yes, you are, and you've got some
Yes, I am.
fantastic news. And I would, listen, I've known you for several years and super proud of all that you've done and the platform that you have built and are building and everything that it stands for over at wheregalswander.com. But I was also noticing on your Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, I think this week you kind of hit a milestone on all three of those. Twitter,
I did.
you're up to 18,000. Instagram,
Yes.
9,000. Is that right?
It is. It is. Yeah.
And on Facebook, your Facebook page has now topped 1,000. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
tell me what the key is to your success, Zanne.
A lot of hard work. I mean, there's no key to success, but to hit, those are kind of big milestones that I set as personal goals when I started Where Gals Wander, and to hit them all in 1 week, with everything 2020 is throwing at us, including an earthquake yesterday here in LA. It just was awesome to have some silver lining, as Seema mentioned this morning too. So thank you, though. I really appreciate it. I just want to say thank you to everybody who just supports Where Gals Wander and what we're all about. It's the exploration of answering the question, is there more to life? And I love having everybody along on the journey.
Well,
and Adam,
yes,
you also did some cool stuff this week. Your podcasts are back for Edge of Adventure. I was super excited.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's a lot of fun, and here on Wander to the Edge, we get to talk to some of the most amazing and inspiring travelers and friends. And then over at the Edge of Adventure, at theedgeofadventure.com, my podcast over there is focused on humanitarians, people who travel for a very specific purpose, and that's to take care of people in need, help some people perhaps who have been marginalized or forgotten, overlooked. And I just like to highlight their stories over at theedgeofadventure.com. And yeah, I got the podcast going again, got some great ones coming out every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, a new podcast over at theedgeofadventure.com. So we've been busy and lots to do, lots of great stories to tell. So speaking of great guests, Zanne,
Yes.
today,
Yes.
and we always have great guests, but I'm particularly excited today to have Darley joining us. Darley Newman, tell us about Darley while I work some fancy footwork here and run a video.
Okay, let's see if this works.
See if I can actually make this work. Ready?
Yes. So Darley is from Travels with Darley on PBS. She is the host and the producer of that awesome TV series. And Darley is also the proud host of Equitrekking. She's going to tell us all about her adventures there. And Adam, if there was ever a guest that we had on the show that gave you a run for the money when it comes to adventures, I think it's Darley. So you better hold on, because we're going to go all over the globe with Darley today and hear all about her adventures. And I can't wait to get started.
It's going to be a good one. So everybody, thanks for joining us, and stick around. It's going to be another great episode of Wander to the Edge. Darley Newman, welcome to the program.
It's so great to be here. Yeah, we're going to go all over the world.
Yes.
Right here in New York City.
We were chatting a little bit before the show, and we were talking about the fact that this is a great way to meet the travel tribe in person and get to know you up close and personal. And you mentioned your connection in New York that you actually, well, I'll let you kind of share what you shared with us.
Well, it's so fun because I was seeing who you interviewed previously and doing my due diligence and research. And I saw Nicolette was on, and we actually used to be in the same office space. It was kind of like a WeWork for people in the travel business and that had travel startups. So I got to work many days alongside her, and just another cool connection that you have when you know someone on social media, and then you either meet them virtually or you meet them in person, and it just really like connects the dots even more. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So, Darley.
Well,
oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say,
you two are hilarious.
This is the satellite delay, right? You know how on the news when they're talking and they have the satellite delay? You can
those are really hard. I've done that before. Yeah. Those are tough. Like I've done some lives and there's been like a couple minute delay, and I always feel bad for the news people when I see them on the news and they have that delay, and you're like, oh, I just feel so much for you right now.
Well, I wanted to do two quick things. First of all, I wanted to invite everybody to join in. This is a live edition. We are live and in person on Wander to the Edge. And so as you have today questions for Darley, or you want to find out more about her, or you think we're not asking the right questions, right? Then you can comment. We are live on Facebook. We are live also on Twitter and on YouTube. So whatever your platform that you prefer is, be sure you comment there. We'll see the comments and we'll try to get to your question. But the next question that I really wanted you to share with us, Darley, I know a lot of people on the program watching right now, they know who you are. They're big fans of yours. You've got quite a large following, so many people that love your work. But for those who are not familiar with it, tell us what the television show is, Travels with Darley.
Yeah, I mean, I've been traveling the world for, I will say, over a decade, and it's been longer now, filming my shows for PBS. I started out doing equa trekking, where I went horseback riding around the world, and most recently have now finished 45 half hours of Travels with Darley, which is crazy. And the show's on PBS. You can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's on an app called Journey through Ovation TV. So, and it's airing around the world, and I love traveling with locals. That's the premise of the series. So I travel with locals, and we eat great food and sometimes exotic food. I try lots of adventure activities. I really go out of my comfort zone, but it's all about showing people that authentic sense of place that you get when you travel with locals, as you guys know. So yeah, I've really loved and feel privileged to have been able to do this for my career for such a long time, even though we're staying home now.
Yeah.
So many memories.
Well, let's start. Well, first, I see a lot of people just saying hi. It looks like you just talking about connections. You were a recent host on Park Chat. It looks like, just everybody jumping in and saying hello. But I want to start with the food piece that you mentioned and going out of your comfort zone. So I think one thing that really jumped out at me is the fact that you've traveled the world and literally cooked alongside some of the world's best chefs. Like, tell us a story, Darley. It's going to be stories with Darley today.
Yeah, it's so funny. I mean, and I've especially valued that during this quarantine. So, I mean, until the pandemic started, I was literally traveling all the time. I had moved to New York a year and a half ago, but I hadn't even really gotten to see the city properly because I was traveling so much, it's just been amazing. But I've been trying to put some of those lessons I learned from great chefs into practice during the quarantine. And I have to say, it is paying off a little bit. I'm nowhere near as good as some of the people that I've filmed with, but one of my favorite food experiences was actually in Belgium with a chef who was born in Korea, raised in Belgium. His name is Sanghoon Djamra, which is kind of hard to pronounce for me, which I'm not amazing with languages. Thanks, Linda. But yeah, so he has his own farm and a little inn and restaurant, and everything he has in the restaurant he's making right there. But he does the most beautiful and inventive dishes, and it's a European Asian fusion, and that was one of the most awesome food experiences I've ever had. I've also really just expanded my food horizons. It's so funny. I grew up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I was not a seafood eater as a child, and now I just love it. I was in Korea in November and on Jeju Island eating just crazy exotic seafood and loving it. I've been to Cancun, France, and had the most amazing oysters, Morro Bay, California. And I wasn't even eating those foods before. So I feel like that's the beauty of travel and trying these amazing types of cuisine with great people to introduce them to you around the world. You really appreciate it. And it's just expanded my food horizons tremendously.
So the most unique dish that you've eaten, what would you say that is?
Wow. So many things go through my mind. Because everyone's always like, you look like you enjoy everything. I'm like, not true. We had on Jeju Island in South Korea, I can't even tell you what they were. They were lighting like snails on fire. And some of the things that we tried there were, I mean, they're the kind of dishes where they're like, if you eat it the wrong way, you're going to die because it's poisonous, you know, that kind of deal.
Wow.
And I was like, this is too much, but I'll try it. So yeah, I've tried some interesting things, but I always try to look for good food because I'm not doing bizarre foods, but I am trying to look for awesome, good food. And in finding the most amazing cuisine as we have adventures, in California, I mean, all over the US and world. So love it. Yeah. Cooked with Michelin star chefs, and this guy in Hong Kong was amazing. He was showing me how to really do the best stir fry at super, super high heat. Like not even my stove is going to get that warm to be able to do it correctly. But it was just like, it was very cool.
That's awesome.
Now, Darley, you've shared a little bit about the television show that you host and produce called Travels with Darley. You also mentioned equitracking and that you sort of got your start there, it sounds like. Tell us what that program is, because I'm sure those who haven't heard of it, they're going to go check it out now. What kind of adventures await them at equitracking?
So it's so interesting. When I thought of doing a travel series, I was trying to think of something that no one else had done and something that I was uniquely suited to do. And that's how I thought of doing equitrekking. So it's a show where I traveled the world on horseback. I wrote a book about it that was published by Chronicle Books. And I think it's such a great way to see a location. You're getting off the beaten path. You're getting immersed in nature. It's an awesome way to view wildlife, to travel through villages and cities. I mean, I rode part of the Silk Road in Turkey and went to Jordan and rode with the Bedouin and was in Africa and went through the Okavango Delta. So just some amazing adventures. That show has been on PBS for over, like, I guess now it's been 13 years or something, and it's still broadcasting. And it's airing in over 85 other nations. It really caught on as a concept, and people now use the word that I coined and trademarked, equitrekking, to talk about horseback riding adventures. So I've been everywhere from dude ranches out west to cattle ranches in South America, and yeah, just really explored it. I think it's fascinating. It's a really neat way to see a place, and a lot of people don't know that there are wild horses all over the world that you can discover. So I have my roots in equitrekking, and it's something I'm really passionate about.
But that's different, though, than when you ended up, I think, riding elephants or some of these other animals on these other adventures that you have been on.
Yeah. Well, I decided not to get on an elephant in Africa, actually, but I did horseback ride everywhere and was charged by an elephant while I was horseback riding. That was not amazing. That episode actually won a Daytime Emmy Award, and I felt like it deserved it after that experience. But yeah, no, I mean, it's not every day that you can say that happened to you. I've had a lot of experiences like that where I'm like, wow, that was hopefully once in a lifetime. And we were in the Okavango Delta, and we were, it's the largest inland delta in the world. So the best way to get around is you're on a boat or you're hiking, or I think horseback riding is the best, because you can literally swim through channels on horseback, hop onto an island, and you're off-roading on a horse. So you're just exploring. You don't need trails. You can just ride wherever you want to go. And we were on this one island where there was an elephant. He was eating jackleberries, and apparently we were infringing on his territory just by being on that island. So he actually did a mock charge, which I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but even though it was a mock charge, it was really scary. And 2 people fell off their horses. I stayed on, but I had read this book called Whatever You Do, Don't Run, which I highly recommend. It's by Peter Allison. He's a safari guide. It's hilarious. That was my main training for this trip. And basically the motto is don't run, because you can't outrun all these animals and it's really dangerous. So that's the only thing I had in my mind during that experience. And my guide had briefed me by saying, if something happens, just do whatever I'm doing. So I just stuck by him. He was crazy. I was like, I'm not sticking by you anymore after this, because you're going to get me killed. But it was an amazing experience. I rode with a herd of zebra and wildebeest, galloped with them in the Makata pans, one of the world's largest salt pans. So pretty wild stuff. And we filmed it all so people can watch it and experience those adventures, which are truly unique and special, even if you don't want to do them yourself.
Wow. And I mean, this is just one of your stories. I mean, tell us about, what would you say is your most adventurous excursion that you've gone on, or activity that you've done? Like, how do you top that?
You guys showed a clip from it at the beginning. I did the world's highest commercial bungee in Macau, China. So I jumped off the Macau Tower, and that was insane. I don't know if I would do it again, honestly, because it was like really crazy. And the day that I got there that day, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this or not. I was looking at the tower from afar, and then I decided to do it. And it was the craziest experience. I filmed it in 360 as well. I just started a YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can see the 360 version, so you can really experience it yourself. They literally taped a 360 camera to my hand, and I jumped off with my arms out like this, and they taped it, and they were like, just be careful you don't like hit yourself in the face. So I was like, great, I'm gonna like knock myself out on this damn bungee jump. But yeah, it was crazy. It was the biggest adrenaline rush I've ever had. I also swam with sharks and filmed that in 360 on this recent season and did some weird, crazy stuff. I don't know why. I said it was my year of yes last year, and thank goodness, because now we are in COVID and I can't go anywhere. So I was like, I guess I'm glad I did all that stuff.
Wow.
Darley.
I'm looking at some of your adventures. These are just amazing, Darley.
Yeah, amazing. Like, I truly feel all the people that we meet are so amazing, and they have such great stories. I mean, it's so neat to be able to try. You guys know this. It's so neat to be able to travel and meet people. I mean, I did the Santa Fe Century bike race in Santa Fe this past year as well. That was crazy. There's something called Heartbreak Hill, which is like, you're going like straight up a hill for like a mile and a half. I thought I was going to die. But again, it was a really cool experience. Yeah.
Our guest today on Wander to the Edge is Darley Newman. And of course, she is the host and the producer for Travels with Darley on PBS. And also previously with Equitracking. So you guys all need to check out all of those great videos and series. So check those out. And Darley, given the fact that you've traveled the world so many times, and you've also brought that passion and that love that you have for travel and for people and cultures, and you turned it into a product, right? You turned it into entertainment and education for the rest of us around the world. Where did all that start for you? Why in the world did you get into that?
Wow. So I went to George Washington University for college, and I mean, I've always been making my own little films and doing my own creative things, making my friends be in videos and creating my own little movies. And I just really wanted to do something creative. So I did go to GW. When I was in high school, I said I wanted to host a travel show. I just didn't know how to do it. So I ended up graduating and moving to New York. I worked at CBS on the show 48 Hours and different documentaries. But I just really wanted to travel and see the world. And I feel like life is so short. It really, really is. I mean, I feel like now during this pandemic, the time has just been flying by. So one of my big things is just trying to take advantage of every day. And I was like, if I'm going to work every day of my life, pretty much, I want to do something I love. So I, thought of this idea for the show and went out and got sponsors for it and pitched it. And I've been working that way ever since. And people love the content. It's really good content, great stories, and just, authentic and genuine. And, we try to do things where people are going to learn something about the world and appreciate other cultures more. And I just really love doing that. I think it's such a privilege, and it makes my life better. It makes viewers' lives better when they get to learn. So, I've loved it. That's actually in the office space I was in with Nicolette. So, hi, Nicolette. Are you out there? Yeah. So and lots of cool experiences. Korea was amazing, which was one of the places that I went in this past season. I just got named a Korean tourism ambassador for spreading the word about, the food and the culture. One of my favorite things is Korean barbecue. Oh my gosh. I've been doing a lot of filming in 360. This is at the world's highest commercial climbing wall, which I did in Reno, Nevada, and I climbed to the top, and I can't believe I made it. That was one of the hardest physical things I've ever done. I did not train for it. I'd never done a climbing wall before. I don't know what I was thinking. But I climbed to the top of that. I literally almost fell a couple times, thought I was not going to make it. But then when I thought about it and I was almost to the top, and I was like, I'm going to come down. I'm not going to do it. And they were like, okay, come down. And I was like, no, I'm not going to come down. But I love that about travel and getting to new places and being able to get out of your comfort zone. That's mountain biking in North Dakota with Nick Ybarra, who's amazing. He has worked on this trail called the Matahe Trail. It's a really intense mountain biking trail that goes through the Badlands of North Dakota. And he has personally worked to maintain that trail like all year round. Just an amazing community steward in person. And I mean, those kind of people I love speaking with as well as we travel. And Adam, I know that's in your lane as well with the work that you've done. That's just, promoting really good people and causes around the world. I think that's an important part of travel as well.
So 2 questions. One, apparently you're not afraid of heights.
Yeah, I guess not.
And as I'm watching all your adventures, I'm kind of going through in my head, like, would I do that? And I'm like, yes, no, no way, nope. The swimming with sharks has always kind of been a fascination for me. So, that's kind of on my list. But as you talk about like a year of yes, and Carrie from Bicoastal Disorder was on with us last week, and she talked about her year of yes and ice diving with penguins and all these other things. I'm starting to think that not 2020, but maybe 2021 might be my year.
I think you should. I think it'll change your life. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm saying this live to everyone to hear. So everybody has to help me through this when it comes to be New Year's Eve. But here's my second question. What have you said no to? Like, how have you ever been approached with, hey, Darley, we want you to do XYZ, and you're like, nope.
I'm trying to think of what I'd said no to at this point. I mean, I haven't really been saying no, which is probably a problem. That's why
it's a true year of yes.
I mean, it's been a while of yes. I haven't said no in a while. Honestly. I mean, I guess I say no to things that, like if a friend's like, it's so funny. I went running yesterday with a friend, and she was downplaying her running abilities. She's like, oh, I can only go like 1.5 miles. We were like 6 miles in. I was dying, and she was still going. I was like, you are lying to me about your running. But then you're just out there challenging yourself, and it makes it an adventure. No, I think life is such an adventure. Oh, hi, Linda. Look at the horse. Echo trekking is such a great series and such a great concept. But yeah, no, I just think, I mean, I don't know. I'm one of those people though, like when I go to bed at night, I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat for breakfast. Like, I don't know who else does that out there, but we are kindred souls if you do, because like every night I'm like, what am I going to have for breakfast? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have a bagel. And then I like get excited about it. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have that bagel now. So it's just, I think it's like there's a lot to like the little things that you can look forward to. And that's another wonderful thing about travel and even just planning a trip. There's stats that say that the act of planning a vacation or a trip is more rewarding than the actual trip itself many times. And I find that is like just life in general. If you can find things to look forward to, even little things, it just makes your life so much better. And travel has always done that for me.
That may be what I'm doing wrong. It is, you're looking ahead at breakfast. I've already forgotten what I had for lunch, right? So maybe if I work on that, that'll help me. What about packing though? Do you enjoy the art of packing, or is that the kind of a downer? Because some people I've just found in this travel game, there are people who love to pack and think about every little thing that they're going to take. And then there are those who say, I'll wait and do that later, and tend to put it off to the last minute. I'm not going to mention any names, but I know.
Ooh, we get some daggers getting thrown out there.
Oh no, that's not me. That's not them. Trust me, I'm the one that's like packed 4 days in advance with
That's
my
me.
list
Actually, that's me. Yes,
yeah,
that's me.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm an advanced packer a little bit, though now I've like been traveling so much. Like for a while, I just was like leaving certain bags with things in them and being like, okay, I'm bringing this again. When I would get back, I wouldn't even unpack that portion of the bag. I'd be like, oh, this is going to go. Or these toiletries are just, so yeah, but I'm big on just being an efficient packer if possible, which is really hard when you're filming stuff because there's a lot of gear and equipment. And, you know, I'm just a big layer person. I don't like to be cold. I don't like to be hot. So I put thought into those type of things. And then, you know, things like I forgot sunglasses once and I thought I was going to die because I need my sunglasses. And, you know, I've got to have my sunscreen. I've got this crazy fair skin, as you guys can tell. So, yeah, I'm a big thoughtful packer, I think, at this point. And I roll things and I try to make sure everything's really organized so that, because a lot of times when I'm traveling, I'm staying in different places like every night or every 2 nights. And it's always a luxury when I go somewhere and I know I'm going to be there for a few days. But yeah, I'm an efficient packer, but I'm not a big buyer. Like I like to shop for certain things, but I don't really buy that much. Like my apartment's kind of sparse. I live in New York City and I don't collect a lot of things. So if I buy something when I'm traveling, it's like very significant to me. Like I'll buy something that I'm going to keep forever probably. But I love buying gifts for people. Like I'm a big gifter. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun, especially when you're traveling. My good friend, Ellen, who's in my Maryland's Eastern Shore episode with her 2 little girls, I always buy them stuff when we're traveling. Her little girls. I love finding stuff for them. So it's fun. That's fun.
You rescue things as well. I believe that your current companion that you have, you want to tell us a little bit about?
She's back here.
Yeah.
Let me see if you can see her. Can you see her on the couch?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like we're lucky she's sleeping because she will get up and like harass me and harass you guys while we're on here because she doesn't like when I'm on video stuff. She's very, very jealous and she'll be like destroying the house behind me. But yeah, no, she's a rescue. And it's really funny because BB is her name. She's a calico cat. She's about 2.5 now. But I'd been twice to film in West Virginia in the Monongahela National Forest. I film in lots of parks and forests. I love being out in nature. And I was looking for a cat and I had a call into a rescue organization. And they called me and they said, we think we have a great cat for you. And I was driving back from the Monongahela National Forest and they're like, we found this cat in the Monongahela National Forest. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm going back to DC. So I'm going back to DC to pick up this cat that had just been to the place I was in. And, you know, she was really bad off when I got her. Like she had not been in a good situation, but now she's thriving and she's super annoying, but I love her. She's a nice little pandemic.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Adam. So
It's mutual. It's okay. Okay, so looking at this video, pulling streaming it right this second from your Instagram page.
Yeah, this is the most recent
I
season.
guess it's
Yeah.
going to go to this. I guess I was thinking it was going to be a video of you on this camel, knowing that you chose not to ride the elephant, but you chose to go for with the camel.
Oh.
What's the difference? Those of us who have had the opportunity to be over there in the Middle East, ride a camel. How do you describe it? How's that different than horseback?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to hear about do you guys like riding? Have you ridden camels and did you like it?
I actually have ridden a camel, believe it or
Okay.
not. Not really. It's very unsteady.
Yeah. Adam, because then I'm
Yes,
going to tell you.
sorry, I'm also working the controls here, and then there's but yes, I think I heard the question. The question was, have I ridden a camel? The answer is yes. And actually, I like it. I mean, you got to also understand it is perfect for that kind of climate with the amount of sand. It's not the kind of thing you're going to, it's not a quick ride, right? But it's more of just an easygoing, steady as you go type ride. I actually thought that, I was like, okay, I see why this is a thing, because it's just and it sure beats walking.
True. Yeah, I mean, I've ridden camels in Qatar and in Jordan, and they just don't listen very well. That's my problem with camels, because like horses that are trained well, like you can ride them and it's like an amazing experience. You feel like you're connecting, like you have like a thing going on. But with the camel, I was like, this camel is not listening to me. Like we're going nowhere fast, and we're not even going to get there in the right direction. So I don't know about the camels, but it's an interesting gait that they have. I've never seen camel racing, but I've been around places where they have camel races, and I think that would be just interesting to see, because I would love to see like the camels being there in person and seeing them running, because I just think their gait is so interesting. The way they move is fascinating.
Right. I think they'd be good for like the 100-meter mosey.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. They mosey for sure. Yeah.
They do. But it's just a part of the culture. And I kind of found that interesting, and also you're so much higher too. And so even like as the camel is standing back up, that's the part I think you got to get used to, is that you're a little precarious there. But anyway, but so much has changed. We're all, it's kind of old news, right? With the whole COVID situation, a lot of it is shut down. We're all familiar with what that's meant to us and the ability to travel. But it makes me think ahead, right? And knowing that you're a planner, that you like to think ahead, what are some of the big projects and or destinations that you've got in mind coming up once we really clear COVID and we can travel the world again on an American passport?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm doing a lot of research on my own and looking at travel predictions and seeing what's going to be happening, in the future. I'm speaking at a Smithsonian event on the 20th of October to talk about like what I think is going to be the future of travel and what people should think about now when they're booking things. Because I've taken a road trip and flown a couple times during the pandemic. It hasn't been for fun. Unfortunately, my dad has been not well, so I've had to be like traveling to help him, which has been interesting and challenging. But I mean, for me, I'm looking forward to the time when we're all more easily able to travel again. I don't think it's going to be the same, but I do think people are really excited to travel. They really want to get back out there. I'm actually going to be launching some special vacations that people can book based on my show, which if you check my website, darley-newman.com, in the next month, you'll see those pop up, because they're all things that we've done on the show that you can book that will take you out with local people and support local communities, which I think is really important. And I think people are going to be wanting to do those as we move forward and look for those places that are a little more off the beaten path. the main sites are going to always be popular, but now people are really, really going to be looking for those places that are out in nature, that are a little less known, and where they can naturally socially distance. So I'm looking at those, and then I'm looking at, I have some new ideas for new shows I'm going to be working on that I'm trying to put together in this like challenging landscape, to say the least. But do look forward to getting out there again and continuing to see the world and share it, because that's just what I love to do.
I love that you're having the opportunity to replicate some of your trips and supporting those local communities. That's fantastic. And
I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I'm working with a travel agency. They're Virtuoso travel agents, and specialized both in France and the US and other places. And it's funny because I'm presenting a bunch of US vacations, which I wasn't going to do at the beginning, but we're all changing course a little bit. And gosh, there's so many great experiences right in all of our own backyards, including out in LA and on California Central Coast, right here in my area, in the New York area, and the Finger Lakes and the Adirondacks. So I'm excited. I think that's one thing I think has been interesting about this time. And this is some footage from Alaska and Turkey from equitrekking, where, I did horseback riding, but lots of other things, as you see too. I did golf in Scotland and surfed in Ireland. So all things that you would want to do if you were traveling and trying to see a place in a new way. But yeah, I'm excited. I think the future is always uncertain, and it's really uncertain now, but I do think that we can still have things to look forward to. A lot of us are traveling like really close to our homes right now if we're going somewhere, taking day trips. And I think that's great. I think it's nice that people can learn more about their local areas and have that pride of place that they maybe didn't have before. So there's some positives to it as well.
And along those lines, here's this question from Knox Road Tripper. With so many restrictions on international travel, what places in the U.S. would you most recommend that people visit?
Well, I think right now sticking close to home is a good idea. But gosh, I love California. There's so many great places just around LA. Pasadena is cool. The Angeles National Forest, in good times. Costa Mesa. Love going up along the Central Coast and Highway 1 and doing that, amazing road trip and seeing Hearst Castle. So those are places I would recommend. I think the Adirondacks are beautiful and lesser visited in New York State, and the Finger Lakes, just the areas that you can go have some awesome boating adventures and stand-up paddleboarding. And there's vineyards up there that people don't think about. Our national parks and forests are amazing all the way around. I love New Mexico. New Mexico is one of my favorite states and places. Santa Fe, I've filmed in Santa Fe 3 times now. And I can tell you, I could go back again because there's so many. The food is amazing, the culture, the history, the art, the diversity of scenery. I went mountain biking in the Santa Fe National Forest. We went up to the Rio Chama and did whitewater rafting. I stayed at a monastery up there, which is kind of surprising. You can stay at a monastery. It's right near Ghost Ranch. It's called Monastery of Christ in the Desert. You can actually book in there if you do. I think it's a minimum of 2 nights. And a lot of people go and they're silent. They take a vow of silence during their stay. So if you want to get off the grid and unplug, that's a really good location. It's beautiful. Right along the Rio Chama. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous location. The sunsets there are amazing. But it's just that kind of like peaceful, different experience. And I love to look for those things like that are different. And they're all over the US. So many great places. Tahoe. Oh my gosh, I could go on. Yeah, lots of recommendations.
As you're filming your show, are you selecting, like, how do you pick the locations that you're going to go to? Like, take us through that process.
It's so funny because if I know what you guys are specialized in, you'll be in my address book and I'll put it under your name. So I'd be like, Zanne, LA.
Yeah.
I would be like, she knows LA. And I try when I know I'm going to be getting to that location or trying to work on that. Like, you'd be the type of person I would reach out to and say, like, what do you recommend? what's something I don't want to miss? What should I know about? Even places to stay and restaurants to go to. So I'm always trying to work through locals. I definitely work through tourism boards. We have to do, when we're filming, like getting permits, and gosh, California is tough on the permitting because there's so much of the film industry working out there that there's like a lot of different permits you have to get for filming. So those are all important pieces, but having personal recommendations is huge because people are always asking if I get to scout before I go to a place, and I normally don't. So I really depend on some trusted people that can tell us like what are the best locations and what do we not want to miss. It's really, really important.
Other than the permitting, what's the hardest part of traveling and also documenting it for television? Hardest part, obviously you love it. I'm not going to, we know that. Yeah. What's the part that is challenging, setting aside the nuisance that is just the permitting side?
You know, one thing that has been challenging is gear, which has gotten better over the years, because especially doing equitrekking, I mean, as you saw, like we really go to places that are kind of remote and can be hard to reach. And when you're bringing a lot of equipment and things, that can be really difficult. I've always traveled with a really small crew. There's like usually 4 of us in total. It was 3 for a while, which is crazy. Like, I don't know any shows that have a crew like that are actually like, you know, out there. I mean, everything's changing now, but yeah, we keep it light and portable because like I've done trips with equitrekking. It was so interesting. Like we were in Alberta and we did a pack trip into Banff National Park. So we were going to be out there for a couple of days, and just thinking of the logistics with that and actually putting camera gears and tripods into packs on pack horses and going out because we were in areas where there's no cars, there's no vehicle access. So that kind of stuff that can get really challenging. Again, the equipment has been changing so much over the years. It's gotten better and better. And I love the fact that now I can have like a small little 360 camera and do some amazing stuff with it. Whereas that wasn't possible before. But that's definitely, the logistics are a challenge that go into it for sure.
Adam, you also had that challenge when you were traveling through Nicaragua, filming The Edge of Adventure, right? Because your crew was 3 people?
Right, counting me.
Yeah.
And but Darley's point is very well taken. I mean, and we, you know, budget was an issue. We were trying to make sure we could not only, we don't want to spend any more money than we had to, but also just trying to move around easier because if you have a large crew, it's harder to move around. It's harder to not be noticed, right? And to really try to keep things in a more natural feel. But I would agree with you from my experience that one additional person would absolutely have been necessary. And, you know, it's nice to have from a technical standpoint, it's great to have the multiple people for the cameras and the audio and the director and all these things. But this kind of television, and, you know, Darley knows better than any of us, but this kind of television is unique. And a part of at least what I like about what Darley does is she takes you there. And if the crew is too large, I think you lose an element of that, and it becomes too staged and too big of a production. But getting to go, I think, is take the viewer with you. It is certainly what I try to do through The Edge of Adventure, and it seems like you do that. You've executed that so well.
Yeah, no, I actually watched part of your Nicaragua episode as well. And I was seeing you lay out where you're going on the map, and I was like, ooh, that's going to be tough. It's a tough one to get through all those places. Yeah, you're right. No, I like keeping it small too. It's just easier. It's just easier to get around. It's less, people do relax a lot more. People normally don't get nervous on our show for the most part because it's just like this, you know, we're just talking and it's very casual. We're not like, go, the camera's on, go. We're just kind of doing it and filming, and but it makes it conversational and nice. And that's, you know, it's so funny. I'm always talking to people like continuously, especially like when we're like hiking somewhere or going, you know, doing a nature adventure where you're going for quite a long time to get to a beautiful scenic view or something, and you're lugging all that camera gear and stuff as well. But it's always just nice when people tell you something that's so special and meaningful. And I'm producing the show too. So I'm sitting there listening and I'm like, oh, I'm definitely using that. I get really excited. I'm like, that's definitely going in.
I noticed reading your bio and the information on your website. Okay, obviously you're hosting the show, you're producing the show, and there's so many layers to that. People hear the word producer and they think they kind of know, oh, well, that means they're doing editing, right? And sometimes, yeah, that's true. I think you do a lot of the editing as well, but there's also just the business side and pulling it all together, making pulling the team together, getting the money to get it done, all the planning. And it's just anybody that's ever tried to do that. And as somebody who has, I have admiration for you because you've done it, and you've done it time and time again. You've got a great concept. You're great on camera, but there is more to this business than that.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of logistics that go into everything. Yeah. And then there's so much that you can do with the content, which is great, but then it's also overwhelming because you're like, well, I got to put this on Instagram. I got to put it on, let me start a YouTube channel. Let me put it on here and there. And I got to make short clips and long clips and 360. And so, yeah, there's the planning of these, especially the international film shoots, is really like a lot of logistics going into it. Every hour, every minute, I have the drive times of every location. Just, it's super mapped out. And I edited all of the Equitrekking episodes that were out there. That show won a bunch of Daytime Emmy Awards. I was the editor on that show. I edited all of Travels with Darley up until the last 2 seasons. So I am well adept, and I know a lot about all aspects of production, which I just think makes you a better storyteller. And you understand the whole process from start to finish. And that is only beneficial in the realm and in the scheme of doing a show yourself, and because it is my production company. So, and I'm in charge, which is good and bad. It's a lot of responsibility, especially when you're traveling to different locations, but it's really rewarding. It really is.
We had Paul Strauss and Gigi Leonard on from The Awesomer, which is another online platform. And they just shared with us sort of behind the scenes. Everyone sees what's on social media. And everyone thinks, I want to go do that. And they don't realize all the work and everything that goes on behind the scenes. And Darley, if your fan base, it was big before, I think everyone watching now, it will become even bigger, just knowing how much of yourself you put into all of this and all the work that you put in and getting to know you even more. What can we do as a community to help support yourself personally, Travels with Darley, and Equitrekking?
Yeah, I mean, well, connect with me on social. I'm out there, I'm posting stuff that is personal to me and stuff from my daily life, but also my travels and trying to support the people that I think have done great work and are running tours all over the world, which is so important. But yeah, let's connect on social, and then just watch my show if you get a chance. It's on now Journey, which you can get on Apple TV and on Roku, and it's JOURNY in case people spell it incorrectly, and Amazon Prime, and look for it on PBS and check out our new YouTube channel. Lots of ways to connect. But I love hearing people's recommendations for places to go. And, it's such a big world, but it's a small world. And then when you start traveling, you feel like it's smaller, but you still can't, I'll never get everywhere, but there's, I want to make sure I'm getting around enough, in this lifetime. I think it's important.
Our guest today for Wander to the Edge is and has been Darley Newman of Travels with Darley. And she shared a great bit about it. If you're just tuning in, you need to, once this thing is no longer live, once it goes onto the platforms where you can play it on demand, please do so. Fantastic interview, great person, great traveler, heart for travel and culture, but also the people. And that is something that is key to her platform. She cares about the locals, the people she's visiting, the people that live in these locations where she and others get to travel. And I think you're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy the series. And again, that's called Travels with Darley. But as we have also established, you can go back and look at some of her work that she did previously. Also very, very interesting travel television. And I'd recommend checking it out on Instagram, Facebook, at Equitrekking. You can find her website where you'll learn all about her and the different platforms, different projects at darley-newman.com, darley-newman.com. And then on Instagram, I think pretty much across social media, Instagram, and then also on Twitter, you can look her up at Darley Newman. Fantastic platform. She is a hard worker. Like, I mean, you talk to her right now and you listen to her talk, and she's just happy and bubbly and kind, and you get all that. You pick up on that, but you can't look at her work and not know that she works hard. And she works hard probably day and night, and there's so much work that goes into it. So Darley, I want to congratulate you for all that you've done. I know you've got some more big projects right around the corner. You're going to do super well on those. We're going to get to watch and enjoy that success. And again, thank you for taking the time today to share your story and get to know you in a more personal way. We've all been connected on social media for a long time now, but this show, Wander to the Edge, gives us that opportunity to get to know the person more personally and let everybody else at the same time. So anyway, thanks again, Darley.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And it's always, I just feel like once you really connect on this level too, then you're even more connected than you were before, which is great. So absolutely. I'm so glad you guys invited me. Thank you.
Yeah, and absolutely, when you're out in LA, look me up and let's do some adventures.
Let's do it. I know. Venice Beach, baby. I saw it on your list. I love Venice Beach. We'll definitely go around and hang out. That'd be awesome.
Great.
Well, thank you again, Darley. Another great edition right here of Wander to the Edge. So thank you. Thanks, Zanne. Always great to hang out with you on Saturdays. And this was a live edition. Super fun to be able to do this live. And thanks to everybody who joined us today, all the questions and comments. Please do us a favor. Do Darley the favor. Share this. Share it out. Comment. Just helps us share the experience with more and more people. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. And we will see you next time right here. Where, Zanne?
Wander to the Edge.